Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
AKA. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Guys, welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club. This is your girl Moni.
And this is Kat.
What's up, kid?
You know, just taking it one day at a time.
Listen, I appreciate it. What did you say last time that cracked me up? It was like just working through trauma or something?
Just out here moving on hurt.
I'm like, wow, this is the talk is a little too real. That's funny to me, though.
Yeah, I know. I always have to think about it. It's like, oh, Moni's going to ask what's up with me, and I have to say something.
You do.
And I
you
had
just
something
be like,
loaded.
nothing.
Today, I didn't have anything loaded. It's like, this is it. This is it.
All right. I like it. That's all I need anyway. That's what I was hoping for. So welcome back, you guys. Thank you for being here again. We're excited to dive into a book that I've been really wanting to read. Like, I feel like this is a book that comes up a lot. When we ask people, so what's one of your top favorite books? It's always Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I just like the title, probably because
I feel like people like saying the title. And that's
do,
really,
it's fun.
which is why I like our show, because I think our show is fun to say.
I know,
It's
right?
always fun to cuss a little.
Just a little.
And then it's subversive, and yeah, so good title.
It's a good conversation starter, if nothing else. So I definitely am into it. We are going to have a special guest, or we do have a special guest today, friend of the show, T. If you guys are watching YouTube, you see him looking all fancy over there with his button down and his sparkling libations. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for being here, T.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is a good time. So I'm gonna get back to you. I'm gonna let you formally introduce yourself, but I wanted to give you guys a brief kind of summary about the book. So if you haven't heard of this book, it's from Mark Manson, and he makes the argument that improving our lives hinges not only on our ability to turn lemons into lemonade, but learning to stomach the lemons better. Human beings are flawed and limited. Not everybody can be extraordinary. There are winners and losers in society, and some of it is not your fault or fair. Manson advises us to get to know our limitations and accept them. So that's what we're diving into, you guys. We have a little, I'm curious to see what's going on. You know what I mean? So I think we should dedicate this episode.
Strongly.
I don't know. That's what we normally do. So hands over your hearts. You guys, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for supporting us. You guys, if you are a patron of the show, shout out to you. You are the real MVPs. We appreciate your support. And if you're interested, you guys, you should sign up, definitely. I mean, hello. We're a whole vibe. We've got some bonus content on our Patreon. So if you're interested, sign up, you guys. It is patreon.com/The Fat Podcast. So there's all kinds of content right now for you guys to enjoy. A lot of it involves us embarrassing ourselves. So if you're interested in that, you should.
I'm not
pop
embarrassed
in
at
there.
all.
She should be, but no,
Not
I'm
though.
just kidding. No, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, check that out. And then also too, I'm gonna dedicate this to people in. I don't know. I feel like this book reminded me of just sort of always being true to your authentic self. So I think for people who are always striving to just be more who they are every day and just feel comfortable with it and not apologize for it, shout out to you guys. What about you, friend?
I'd like to and your dedication.
Thank you.
And also, this is going out to Tiny Tapas. Moni put me on to a yoga studio out in Glendale, and I'm still sore today, but it let me know that it was very much needed. And just reminding everybody, when you're getting into new habits, it's okay to feel weird. I like the fact there were no mirrors, so I didn't have to look at myself like shaking and like tipping over, which was what a lot of it was, and sweating. Like, it doesn't look like the yoga on TV with the people on the beach and everything. It was a lot realer than that, but it was still really fun.
It was a lot realer than that. That's so funny.
It makes you very aware of gravity. We are in a constant struggle with gravity. I don't know if everybody knew.
It's true.
Do you know the rate of gravity that's being pulled on you right now?
A lot.
It's negative 9.8 meters per second squared.
I mean, even you saying that, that still has no real application to the reality
It's
that I know.
so happening right now.
I
That's
know
why
it
we
is.
get
It feels normal,
wrinkles
though.
and the
Oh,
things start
hell
to sag.
no.
It's because gravity is literally pulling us down. We have to fight it 24/7.
So
So,
gravity's a bitch. Is that what we?
I mean, I'm dedicating this to Tiny Tapas because it's helping me fight gravity.
Okay. All right. Cheers to you. Thank you. Dedication over. I think.
Dedication over.
Oh my gosh. Some quick stats and then I'm going to get to our guest. About the book is, and if you read it in paperback, which I didn't, y'all should know that by now, it's 212 pages. Actually, it's right here. I ain't going to pick it up, but it's right here. I could check if I needed to. But it was published September 13th, 2016. And of course, I listened to it. I'm sure you did as well.
I did.
It's about a 5-hour audiobook. Super easy, super quick to get through. Definitely an easy read. So a couple little things about Mark Manson, who is the author of our book. He's a professional blogger, entrepreneur, and former dating coach. Since 2007, he's been helping people with their emotional and relationships problems. He's worked with thousands of people from over 30 different countries, and he's now a 3-time #1 New York Times best-selling author. Yay! A little round of applause. Good for you, sir.
Yeah,
that's a big
that's a lot of work.
accomplishment. That's a lot of books sold. So, before we kind of really dive into the book, I wanted to re-welcome T. Thank you so much for being here today. This is super cool.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we love being able to have guests and stuff. And so this is a book that I was like, we need to do this book because I felt like I wanted to start 2023 with this energy of not giving AF. So
How's it going?
Good, I think.
Okay.
You know, it's in the forefront. So definitely trying to keep that in mind. But I love that you wanted to be here and talk with us about this book, and I wanted to know why that was. So, you know, we've known you for a while and stuff like that, and we know you like to read. And when we said we were doing this, it's like, yeah, let's talk about it. So tell us why this is one of the books that you wanted to come on and talk with us about.
So this is a book that I read a couple of years ago, actually, and it always just stuck with me. And I had, similar to you, just heard people talk about it, and for a while it probably came up on, like, you know, top books of whatever, everybody's list. And so it was just something that always stuck with me. And I remember when I had read it, it was just this real sense of mindfulness and like taking responsibility for, you know, just who you are and how you go out into the world every day. And then I would always talk about this book, but I hadn't read it for about 3 years now. And so I went back and read it when I knew y'all was going to invite me on. And it's even more true today. I took even more stuff out of it this time, just where I'm at in life. It was really, really helpful for a lot of things. So yeah, I was actually thinking, if I had to recommend one self-help book, because I don't want to be that person who just recommends, like, you should do all these books, I would just recommend this, because I think everybody's always in their head all the time. And so this kind of helps you get out of your head.
I like it. That's what's up. I mean, I feel like I get that feedback a lot. So would you say you're somebody who likes self-help books? Is that like a genre of books that you typically go for?
Yeah, that and that, like, analytical books in the sense of, like, they break down, like, I think it's a book called Good to Great. Hopefully y'all one day review that one. But it's just, he like reviews what makes companies good, what makes them great, while some make the leap, while some don't. I started to kind of read that. That's a really good book. So stuff in that area, but I'm trying to break it up for 2023. I want to definitely read stuff outside of what I would normally just do.
Okay. I like that, because I feel like Kat has asked too when we've had other guys like on the show. So, and usually we do get a lot of self-help books when it comes to guys and stuff. So that's why I was asking, because I didn't know if there was any other genre of books that you typically would go for, or if this was like your
like
go-to.
any narratives.
Yeah,
for sure. Off top, I mean, all the
not like
narratives
you're being quizzed on it, but I just was asking, like, not like, well, what are they now?
Quiz asshole.
Right, exactly. No pressure.
I don't have any off top. I would have to pull up my
dumb.
list, but anytime somebody gives me a book, I either put it in a spreadsheet or I put it on my Amazon book list.
That's what's
So
up.
I don't have any off top that
Okay,
I can
but
think
you're
of.
open to
But I'm
exploring
definitely
like different
open, for
ones.
sure,
Okay,
for
I
sure.
like that.
And it's funny, the only narrative that we did read that was a guy's suggestion, I hated it.
Oh my gosh,
hated it
yes,
so bad.
yes, you did. In fact, we're inviting you back
Hilariously so.
on
Yeah,
Dion.
to read, yeah.
Shout out to you. Hopefully you can make it back.
I mean, and shout out to
It was so fun. That was such a fun episode too.
But yeah,
It made for some
seriously,
good content.
every other recommendation has been sort of a, nonfiction self-help
absolutely.
book, which are great.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not mad about it. I actually enjoyed the book. So
Yeah, we finally get to talk about it. Like,
yes,
this is
I know.
always
It's
such a
been,
relief when I finally get to talk about it.
it's been great. Well, why don't you start then? Because I was just gonna say, like I said, it was a short read. It was only 9 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And even just the names of the chapters kind of cracked me up.
Yeah, he's funny.
So
Once
he's
again,
giving
'cause
comedy.
He ghost wrote Will.
Yes, he
which was a book.
did.
That was a show favorite.
Definitely.
And pretty much I enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a quick read. We said it's a good starter book, especially for people like if you don't like reading. I think a lot of people should listen to us because there's so many books. You should read this book. You should watch this show.
That's so true.
We'll just explain it to you. You don't have to do all that.
It's very true.
You don't have time for that.
No, we barely
but
do.
this is a book you should make that's easy to make time for.
I think so,
It's
too.
light. It's easy to listen to. You're not like looking up words all the time or getting bummed out.
No.
He handles like there's a lot of heavy subject matter
Very much so.
and stuff like that. So I think he does a good idea of tackling it.
I think so too.
So yeah, I think for because there's not really usually I'd sum up the book, but that's just there's a narrative. He gives like really quick synopsis too of different people's narrations. Like he tells the story of the Buddha. He tells his own stories. Like there's a couple things where he starts telling the story. I'm like, oh, this is the author. I know what this is.
I know what you're doing.
I know what
here.
you're doing.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt like especially because it's almost kind of like when we read How to Be a Good Person. Am I saying it wrong?
You are. I'm gonna see if you get it. You
How
can
to
do
be
it.
a good person. That's what I want to say.
It's how to be perfect.
That's what you. Thank you. See, she knows how. I don't need to be. It's fine. So,
and
but
it's
yeah, that
ironic
book.
because even the title, because I think it was misspelled.
Boom.
And it was
See,
like
I'm embodying what not
Yes,
giving a fuck right now.
nobody's
You know what I'm saying? I'm
perfect.
out here. It's my new vibes for 2023 anyway.
yeah.
But I feel like that book also kind of was a book that was very philosophy 101. Like it takes on some really heavy topics, but it breaks it down in a simple, digestible, relatable way, which I think is important, especially when
It's
you're
like
encouraging people to read.
presuppositionalism. What?
Right, I don't
Like,
even.
what am I supposed to do with that?
I
Like,
can't
it's
even
like-
spell believe half the time. I gotta keep remembering where the I and the E go. You know what I mean?
It's I before E, except
Except
after
after
C.
C, and I have to
or
say
when
that to
sounded as
myself.
A, as in neighbor or way.
Exactly. See, I forgot about that one, but the
Because
first one.
English is insane. You have
It's
to come up
dumb.
with
It
little
is dumb.
rhymes to remember when to do stuff.
Yo, it's crazy. So, but for this book, since there's not going to be a synopsis, I just want to share with you guys some of the chapter titles, and I think this will be a really great segue into like breaking the book down or whatever. So, chapter 1, don't try. Chapter 2 is happiness is a problem. Chapter 3, you're not special. Chapter 4, the value of suffering. Chapter 5, you're always choosing. Chapter 6, you're wrong about everything, but so am I. Chapter 7, failure is the way forward. Chapter 8, the importance of saying no. And chapter 9, and then you die. And so, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
for real though.
that sums it up.
So that part. So I just wanted to kind of jump into some of the themes. I mean, I feel like if I'm thinking about some of the themes that came up, I mean, if you want to just start with the chapter, don't try. I feel like that's a really great one.
But but trying's my superpower. That made me feel a way.
Did it? Let's unpack it. Why?
I feel like this book was perfect for you
Oh,
because I know you personally, and
Oh.
you give a lot of fucks. And this is
this
has
that's
been
so
a-
funny. That's
this
not
has
the
been
narrative on the show.
a cause of our many debates slash arguments
That's to
in
say,
in
full out
life.
arguments.
Hold up, let me
Yes.
get
Yeah,
some
so
more.
like it's I thought when we talked the other day, you were like, oh yeah, we're reading this book, and it's like really making me think like, you know, maybe I'm paraphrasing, but like
I like the
maybe
voice
I
too.
should-
Continue the voice. That was
Oh,
really fun.
maybe I like, you know, you had said something along the lines of just like how it is helping you relook at like life and how hard you be going sometimes with some of your topics. And I think I'm happy for you.
Thanks.
Oh, me too. This is such an interesting
It is,
take here.
'cause honestly, I really feel like as a standard deviation of people who give a fuck, I usually don't. Like usually people are telling me it's like, you know what,
It's like, but you can't really
because
just.
I feel like not give a fuck about any. I mean,
Right.
I'll put it this way. I guess I'm less concerned maybe sometimes about like respectability, for instance.
Gotcha.
Whereas like I get really riled up about things that hurt people. Like if I see like things that are like harmful, yes, I get very, very riled up.
Mm-hmm.
But for things that don't matter, because to me I think a better title for this is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck About Things That Don't Matter. Because he
Or
says
about
in the book
everything.
too, there are things you should totally give a fuck about.
Right.
Like that was the point of the book. Like you should just not give energy to the stuff stuff that you shouldn't give a fuck about.
But see, I think
Which is nice.
that would be debatable in the sense of like everything, different things matter to different people. One, two, I mean, we don't need to get so like ethereal about it, but if you look at it, a lot of this might not matter. So
I'm just
therefore,
talking about like what the author said.
so then
Because like we have to like he was just
you
talking
have to
about
get the appropriate amount of fucks.
right, but for the things you care about. So like
Yeah.
you said, like I feel like another author, like he had this quote about how there's me and the people I care about, and everything else is just scenery.
That part.
So like yeah, but when I see like I'm not gonna stop giving a fuck about things that I feel like are important, and I feel like that was a theme of the book.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so like yeah, I just don't give a fuck about things that don't matter.
Because that's what he's basically saying. Like, you do have to choose what to give a fuck about. Like, pick that passion. And so sometimes it does feel like maybe you think, because so for instance, let's just pretend like y'all both give a fuck about two things that are opposed from each other.
Okay, I can try to imagine.
Can you? I mean, picture
Try to
that.
imagine that.
It's the 1900s, and you guys are disagreeing. But because I feel like you might get the impression that somebody gives too many fucks about something. But it's like if it's something that you don't care about, that perception's a little skewed because it's like, no, this is actually one of the things that I give lots of fucks about. So
And you're not gonna make me stop.
yeah, I can't stop because I've already chosen this. This is already on the list. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I do think that could be, because when I think about Kat, I mean, obviously she gives a fuck about things, but we tend to give a fuck about different stuff. You know what I
True.
mean? And it's complimentary, luckily, most of the time.
Yes.
Like the stuff that I'm concerned about, she's like,
email.
yeah, I don't care.
She gives a fuck about email.
Yeah,
I
not my work email,
I
not
can
my
give a fuck about email.
listen. And so that works out. So I check our email. So I mean, I think that it's just, I
Wait,
think
how
it's
many
good
times
to
do we
align.
get to say the F word?
I
in
know.
this
Should we say?
episode?
Should we
Should
put
say
a
me another F word? Frack. That's what they said on Battlestar.
giving a uff, a huff,
a frack.
giving a frack? I know because it could get
They're
a
a little
little
gratuitous.
effy.
We're trying
Yeah.
to clean up our act in the new year.
That's what we had said.
we had said that, and
We did say
we
that.
said the F word a
We
bunch
did.
of
Well, we
times.
picked a book with the F word in the title.
Well,
I think
So
there's anything wrong with that.
yeah.
I don't
So
either.
I mean, I'm not offended. Hopefully you're not. But maybe we should split. Okay, we trigger alarm. What is it? Trigger.
Trigger alarm.
Set the alarm, guys. That's weird. Yeah.
beep 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 beep.
Beep beep. We be cussing. You know what I mean? Like it goes down sometimes. Beep beep. That's what they're saying now. That's new for
Now I'm
2023.
gonna mess that up.
You're welcome.
People
Trigger
have
alert.
trigger warning. It's like, no, it's a trigger alert.
It's an alert now, guys. It's 2023. We have evolved past the warning part. But just
Love
know
it.
you might hear the F word during this conversation.
Yeah, it's gonna probably slip.
Or
in
we
a
could say
little.
NGAF.
Okay,
if you can
so
remember
I
that.
wanna. So what's something that you give a F about, like big time?
Humanity.
Humanity.
Yes.
Humanity. Like,
what
so
does
you
that
think
mean?
humanity? You don't think that humanity deserves to be just wiped out, like in the Grand Inquisitor? Like, why do humans?
No,
even
I
deserve
think we
to live?
need to learn how to become one with the world that we live in, and instead of, trying to escape to other planets, maybe we should figure out how to fix our planet. And the reason I think of that, because the way it kind of I rationalize it in my mind is it's kind of like when your mom tells you to clean your room, but
Hate
then
that.
instead of cleaning your room, you just put shit under the bed or you put it in the closet, and it
Or
feels
just
like
put everything in the dirty
yeah,
hamper.
it just feels like that's
Yeah.
what a lot of, and I don't want to just be like rich billionaires are all the entire
is a
problem,
human nature.
but that's just
Yeah,
what
in general,
it seems
though.
like a lot of what we do as mankind. It's like we just kind of sweep it under the rug, whereas like we should probably address it, but in that it would make us uncomfortable.
Yeah, denial is psychologically more comfortable.
Yeah, to put it under the bed or put it in the closet in the dirty hamper is way easier than to actually be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna put these gloves on and go clean out the
Bust
ocean
it
or
down.
something.
Well, I love that you're saying that because to me that segues into like one of the main things that I did like about this book, and it's something that I feel like I say a lot, and I try to say this to my kids because you're mentioning, children being directed to do things, and then they always trying to find the way around it. And I'm not even dragging them because I do this. I mean, I think that it's like, how can I like get these optimal results with the least amount of work? And in my mind, it's like, well, that's efficient, right? Like I could just save all this time and I can get to what I'm trying to get to. But everything in life is work. And this is something that like the older I get, the more it resonates in my soul that like there's just no getting around it. And so instead of being resentful about the work that you have to do since it's inevitable, why not pick the work you want to do? And I kind of like that message of like, you know, so when we talk about like even like the careers that we pick or even the spouses and friends, like I think about that even with friends. Like I can almost always tell if I'm meeting somebody as a potential friend or whatever, whether or not it would be somebody I can like have a long-term relationship with as a friend, or if it's going to be something more topical, because I know what I'm willing to give a fuck about when it comes to friendships. I know I have very clear boundaries around like what I can and can't give, or the kind of person who, you know, like say for instance, you know, like needy people, like I can spot them. I do not enjoy those interactions. Like if you have to be, like if you have to be a dingleberry, you know what I'm saying? And that's not to say like, I get it. Things have to be reciprocal. People want to be seen and valued.
But that gets to attachment styles though. You're already
that
getting
part.
A message about your attachment style.
Yes,
your
I'm
attachment
picking
style's
up
a little
on
too
that.
anxious.
Exactly. So
And I have enough anxiety, so.
I do. And I can't absorb that for you and I can't fix that for you. But I'm saying all that to say like, you know, there comes a point in your life where when you're moving around, you have to be able to discern like, how much energy you're willing to put into something, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job or whatever. Know your limitations, know what's the most important thing. Like if making $1 million is the most important thing, well, I hope you have a threshold for passive aggressive work cultures. I hope you have a huge, you know, I hope you're prepared to work these 80-hour work weeks. I hope you're prepared.
Hope you like gold diggers.
Hope you like superficial interactions, because that's going to be a lot of what you're interfacing with. And
Hope
there's
you like
nothing
taxes.
wrong with that. I hope my point being like everything comes with its separate little package of bullshit, no matter what it is. And it's always a trade-off. And so at some point you just have to decide like what's the most important thing to me. You know, what do I actually want to subject myself to? And so I liked that. Yeah, I like that a lot.
We're
'cause I'm
choosing our problems.
Yo.
Like what kind of problems? I was saying that earlier today about like, you know what? And that was something too. I feel like Dave Chappelle brought that up in his special about how like the pandemic hit people really hard because everyone was trapped at home with their choices.
Yeah.
And
And I wasn't mad about my choices.
And-
you know, arguably my life is better when I have more time to be in front of my family. I think it gets worse when it's like I'm not engaging and it's like you're disconnected from it. So it was kind of nice. I mean, even though I still technically was working and stuff,
I didn't
I
have
was-
any time off.
you didn't. I know.
never got that whole
I didn't either. I was like, I
being
wanted
able
to
to
find
sit at
myself.
home for months. I was actually still in the streets. So.
I was too. I want to give you a high five. Do you high five? Yeah. You doing? You know, it was. I mean, it was like again, it was good and bad at the same time because it was nice to be able to leave my house sometimes. Still, but I still kind of was like, damn, I want a reconstruction of my life.
I would have loved that.
I want to be reborn here. I want to.
it was great.
I want to come back a better person. I'm still the same. You know what I'm saying?
I started
like
painting
borderline
and animating. And,
I didn't get any of that.
And just could, yeah.
I'm doing
I'm
all
doing
that
it now.
actually now. I'm doing all
I'm
that
doing
now.
it now.
I was trapped
Me
at home
too.
with my choices, and it was
Yeah,
great.
it was cool. But yes, so think about that. Like if you're,
Well, what was your biggest takeaway? Like, what did you enjoy most about the book? Oh, I remember. What did you enjoy most?
I think this, to me, this might be going too heavy, but I think this book is for anybody who has never gotten therapy. I think this is a good introductory book for them to get therapy. I'm really big on people getting therapy, but I think this book reinforced something that I've learned just in therapy, just in life. It's like you always have to ask yourself why. So like if you feel a way about something, why do you feel that way about it? It's not enough to just be like, oh, I don't like that bitch. I don't like that nigga. It's like, well, why don't I like them?
That's enough for me.
And
Why
then
don't
it's
I like
like,
that
okay,
bitch?
well,
why I don't like
you know,
her?
they're mean to me or they're rude to me. Well,
like-
why do you feel that way? So you it's constantly just unpacking until you get to the real root of the problem. And I got that a lot because in the book he actually talks about a story about him wanting to be closer to his brother, and he said that they, you know, he would email him, he calls him, but he feels like he doesn't have that connection with his brother. And then he essentially asks himself, well, why do I feel like that? And it's because family is important to me. Well, why do you feel like family is important? Well, it's the most important thing. Well, why is it the most important thing to you? And he just goes down this laundry list of things, and it's like, man, everybody should do that, because I've ran into people, I'm in my own situations, my own relationships with people, and it's like they get so fixated on this idea of like, I'm not living up to the standard that they have created of me in their head, But it's like, well, why do you think I should? And why is this important to you? And why does that even actually matter? So
Have you even thought about it?
have you
Like,
thought
have
about
you reflected on
Yeah.
it, or are you just a reflection of what's been? We all have an idea about, because we were talking about respectability stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we have these ideas about how, what it means to be T in the world. You know what I'm saying? And you've absorbed like how your family sees you, how your friends see you, how you see yourself, and like you're trying to pick this pocket to exist in where it's like, okay, this is my, and it's like sometimes it's. We're so hard on ourselves when we're not hitting these marks that we think we're supposed to be hitting, but then it's like you're not even really asking yourself, like, what do I actually think about this though? Like, actually think about this. And when I separate it from what's been handed to me versus like what I've learned and what I've experienced, does it still add up? It doesn't leave room for a lot of growth, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're brought up to think like, men, I'm just using this, and don't listen. We're not about to, I'm just saying, this is just an example. But, if you grew up thinking
no,
like,
talk your shit.
if you grew up feeling like, okay, a man has to I have to be a provider and I have to, protect. Boom.
And nothing can touch my butthole.
Boom. Those three, the trifecta, the holy, boom, throw up the, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's what defines me as a man.
Yes.
And I think that like there's nothing wrong with thinking like, okay, this is what's been handed down to me, because you're balancing like what's culturally acceptable, and then too, like those things tend to embody the people you admire.
Yeah.
But it's
'Cause
also
you-
hard too, though.
Yeah.
Because we do feel like we'll like stop existing if
Yes.
we deny them. It's like, well, no, I've always
I actually
been
stopped feeling like that a long time ago, though.
Did you? Well, good. That's
fair.
great. That's
Actually,
beautiful.
Because
I
that
stopped
brings
giving
us
a lot of
good.
fucks.
Did
well,
you?
once you find out that like you don't really belong anywhere,
Boom. That part.
I mean, that's the thing. Because one of the quotes I wrote down in my notes is,
What you
"It's
got?
it's not being indifferent, but being comfortable being different."
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was an absolute gem.
It's a gym.
Yeah, it is a gem. And it's an important lesson, and I think it's something that like that's one of the things about getting older that I think is empowering.
Liberating,
Empowering.
Do you think you gave more fucks when you were younger than you do now?
Yeah. He even says that in the book. He was like, as a kid,
Yeah.
you give all the
You
fucks.
care.
Like,
There's
you
so
want the
many
blue
of them.
toy or your,
Or
like,
fracks. I'm sorry, I forgot that quick.
That's it. Everyone else did too.
This is a family podcast.
No, it's not.
but
There's a
like,
young-
yeah, I gave way more fucks. And I just think about like, oh man, if I could go back to junior high or high school, like I would be
What advice would you tell yourself, like if I had a portal? and
Ooh,
it'd be
that's
like,
good.
hey,
That's
here's
good. I like
young
this
T.
question.
just like,
Let 'em know.
Here he is.
Don't-
There you go.
like, cause in high school, I would be like, oh, I don't give a fuck. But like, actually you do. But like now I really give less fucks. Like a lot of people are not even comfortable enough with themselves. And I used to have this thing when, not high school, but college. And I used to have this thing when I would show up late to class, and I used to have anxiety, like, because I would walk in late and it's like everybody's
Everyone's
looking at
looking
you. And so like I used to, when I walk in late, I'd just be like, what's up, class? Like I would take onus of it. So like but I did that because I actually
I know I'm late. I know you see me being late.
Yeah, so it
It's
was
happening.
empowering for me to do that, and then eventually I was just like, these motherfuckers don't really give a fuck if I'm late or not. Like,
They
and
don't
so
care.
if I could go back into when I was younger, I would just be like,
You ain't gotta do all that.
people actually don't care as much as you think they care.
It's so important to
and
remember.
if they do, they'll let you know.
They will.
part.
Like it's so
That
important to
part.
remember. You do not remember most of your life.
Oh,
Most of
God,
your
no.
life is lost to you unless you journal.
My God. My kids get mad at me about that all the time. I was just
You don't remember.
every night I sit and talk with my kids. It's like
I
it's
tell
like my
them.
favorite time because I get like all the juice at night. Cause they trying to like you want to stay up. So it's like they're just like pouring their little hearts out. So I'm getting all this good information. But my son was asking me if I remember something. Mom, do you remember the I'm like,
Dude, I'm so running out of room on the hard drive. You have no
they
idea.
want to bless my heart so bad. They're just like, oh my gosh,
And
like,
I
your
remember
mind
being so
is failing.
hard on
I'm
my
like,
mom
listen,
about that
I don't know.
she doesn't remember anything.
Yo,
My mom, though,
I'm doing good to just be here.
You know
guys.
what? I'm gonna let it go. But like, yes, my mom, and I've heard my daughter say that, like in a stage whisper to someone else, like she doesn't remember much. I'm like, you lucky I remember to pick you
Guess
up.
right. You better be glad I remember to take care of your little. Yeah, but it's.
But I
think
get it
that's a-
now.
that's a
Like as
thing.
time goes on, you just gotta let some stuff go.
And you do, because it doesn't.
You have to
do
hold
you
on
any
to what
good.
serves you.
Absolutely, that part.
I
And
mean,
so,
you do, but I try to like be.
And forgetting's part of healing.
It is, but when it comes to like kids and not letting people down, I do try to remember things that I think is like important to them. I'm not perfect at it.
Oh,
obviously.
God.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
T. Do you have any children?
Not yet.
Okay, then
I mean,
moving
you're
on.
allowed, but no, we're not gonna do that. T,
I'm
I used-
responsible for kids though.
T, let me tell you, it's. So I want to honor you because I used to get that when I didn't have kids, and that used to piss me off. I used to be really shitty about that.
But then,
So what I want to recognize is I get that. It's like, that's what I also want. I need you to understand that I also want that. It's just every single day, all the time. It's a lot. And so it's a lot. That's all.
the
You know what I
time
mean?
you
So
wake
you
up-
do
No,
there
one
was
thing,
no
and I try-
judgment in my
you try-
statement,
And I'm
though.
not saying it is, but I get it because you feel like, I want to, and there's nothing wrong with saying that because I actually do too, but it's like I didn't want to be dismissive like my friend here. I
Oh,
get
I'm
it.
dismissing
She's dismissing you
the
because you don't have
frack
children.
out
I
of
used to
it.
hate that. I used to
Oh my
fucking
God.
hate that. But yeah, I just feel like
understandably so.
Yeah.
But oh boy.
it's just relentless. It's just like you can't even
You
imagine.
never know till you know.
Right,
You
that
don't know
part.
till you know.
That's fair.
It's
But-
like single people when they're like,
But
oh,
it was
I
a
can-
TV show, let's be for
single
real.
people
Like it
giving
wasn't.
married people advice. Like you don't know. You haven't been in these trenches.
Oh yeah.
Nah,
I called
that's
my
true.
sister out about that the other day. She
Uh-oh.
tried to tell me what a man should do in a relationship, and I was like, "Well, you single, like you." I was
hope
like,
you
"You're
said-
not
did
even
you say it nicer than that?
not as much."
You don't have
nicer.
to when it's your brother. and
Well, I was
stuff.
like, "You're not even in the game."
You don't
like,
want to save
that's-
the niceness for the people you love?
No, not at all. Actually, they
Sometimes,
talk
but
they
not
talk
that.
about this in the
But
book when he went to
depends,
Russia
yeah.
and he was like, people there are
Yes.
way more rude than
Let's
people
get
in
into
America.
it. Let's get into truth
And it's
telling
like
and
it's
how
not
that's
necessarily
important.
that they rude. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
like that's their culture. They skip the
They don't
bullshit.
share.
They,
Yeah,
if they don't
think
like
we're
something, they'll be
stupid
like,
for-
"That's fucking stupid."
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's too cold for that.
I actually wish,
Yo, it's very cold out here.
I
in
wish
that time.
sometimes that our society was a little bit more like that. Like, I remember watching this interview. I don't know the lady's name, but she was on Joe Rogan. She's from like China or something, and she was just talking about in her culture there.
Oh, they're upfront
It's
as
like
well.
they don't be like, "You're special, you're different." Like they're just like, "Look, do the fucking thing, and if you don't do the fucking thing, then you're actually gonna, you will be different because we're gonna look at you
and
like
not
an
in a
idiot."
good way.
Yeah,
Okay, you're
so
not conforming all the way. And,
so and I think it can
we
be
gotta
some
find the
power
middle,
in
right?
that. We have to find
Yes,
the
a
balance. We have to
balance,
find the
yeah.
balance between like understanding everybody is unique in a certain
and
way,
special. And everyone's also a piece of shit.
and also
at the
that
same damn time. At the same damn time. Like,
Like God, like seriously,
Period.
like you're such a little weasel.
Period.
But
Period.
then at the same time, you're also a glorious miracle.
you are. It's both, and it's finding
We're
that
all
perfect
miracles.
balance. It's
Like
that
we're
perfect
all the
balance.
ones who made it to the egg.
yeah.
Okay.
We start out in life a winner, and we're in an unbroken chain of evolution.
That's why if you just want to chill for the rest of your life, you don't need to feel bad about it. You already won.
you already
That's true,
won.
you
You start
here.
off in life a winner.
Listen, I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, you were the best one.
You
They
made
get
it.
their life on that narrative.
It
I
is
need you to
really
understand. I'd be like,
good.
because like when I was explaining to them like how babies are get made, I'm like, so understand that out of millions, like
Talking
you were the
millions.
one, like
Literal
they were-
millions.
Listen, when I say that got them, they were like, wait a minute,
That
what?
is exciting.
They
That's
are pumped up
exciting.
about that. I said you should
You
be.
start
You're
off as a
amazing.
winner. Yeah.
You and you will continue to be one if you want to
Yes.
be. I mean,
Yes.
what's
Keep that
important to you?
energy.
Yeah, like I mean, you
Keep
can
that
keep it up.
You can just do
energy.
just enough, or you can be like, let me see how far I'm gonna take this thing.
Yes. I mean, do you want to be the one or not?
Winning
you know what I'm
feels
saying?
good
Yes, and then winning also comes with a certain bag of bullshit. So be prepared for it.
for people coming for you.
Be prepared for it. You know what I'm saying?
But he
People wanna
talks
come
about
for
in the
you,
book
so.
too, like understanding when you get rich or when you start to win. I'm paraphrasing, but it's like what I took from that is just like make sure you're not seeking external validation. Like you should always be comfortable with self. Like everything else is kind of just a bonus.
Absolutely. I mean, it's nice, right? Like we always like to hear we're doing a great job. Like you told us you like
As
our
a,
podcast. I
and
mean,
speaking
we
of
feel
which,
good.
please like us in the
We
comments.
yeah,
please.
because that's part of it.
Yeah.
But also, even if and a lot of y'all don't be even saying shit to us, but we still out here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We still
we're still gonna
because
keep going.
yeah, this
Even
is
if
the
you don't,
kind
but
of
please
work
do.
that we choose to do, regardless. So again, it's a nice balance of like doing the things you love because you love them and letting that be enough, but then also wanting to be recognized, right?
Yeah.
That happens in relationships a lot as well. You know what I'm saying? You be like, where's my trophy for? I did, you know what I'm saying?
They
But
don't give
really,
no
it's
awards
like,
for
I've gotten a many
they
argument
don't
because
give,
of this.
and the thing is that.
How'd that go?
It depends on the woman that I was with at the time, but it's just like I try to be very understanding. It's funny because he talks about a lot of relationship stuff in here too,
does,
and
he
I
does.
found myself sometimes being the person that was giving too much fuck about the other person's fuck stuff that they give, and sometimes you got to be like, nah, I'm not like that's your shit. You need to deal with that.
That's
and then,
my favorite. That's where I live.
That's where I've gotten criticisms for not giving a fuck enough about
I mean, like, right,
stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely on the end of like, and not like I don't give a fuck, but it's just like, I mean,
it's like if you like it, I don't
great.
need to give a fuck.
Why I gotta be right? Like, why am I being drug into this right now? I don't understand. Like, I mean, good job.
People want to be equally yoked. That's what I get a lot.
Well,
of.
equally
boy.
yoked doesn't necessarily, to me, mean that. Like, equally yoked means we have the same values. Like, I think
My
at
whole
the
thing is
end
I'm
of the
not
day,
trying to be yoked. That's for plow animals. Like I don't need a yoke.
okay, so maybe that's a terrible and antiquated way to think about it, but I think that narrative is just trying to say like, ultimately the things I really give a fuck about, you have to as well. And to me, that doesn't come down to me liking fucking sports because you do. Like, I'm not gonna get divorced because you know what I'm saying? Like, or
it's nice though. Like, don't get me wrong. I like to like. I like sports. I like video games.
Right, and
it's
go
cool.
for it.
I've dated women who also like that. So that's
It's a
like
bonus.
Cool,
it's like
but
cherry
it's
on
not
top.
like
It's not mandatory, sir. That's your
It's not
shit.
going to
I'm
stop
not-
you from liking it.
Thank you.
No.
Because people do get in relationships and it's like, oh, now that Phil likes golf, now I will take
Ew.
up golf.
And to me, that's super fake because
is.
Well, it's super fake when you're okay. So let's just say you've never
doing it
golfed
for the wrong
before,
reasons, yeah.
and you end up golfing, and you're like, "Whoa, this is really fun.
Yeah.
I love this. Like, that's great." But when it's like, I feel like I have to, transform into this because I want to be. It's like that's when it gets fake, and I'm never inclined to be that person.
Never.
Like, I'm not going to pretend like I like sports because you do. Now, I'll go to a sporting event because those are fun and I like the snacks and it's a lot of stuff going on, but I don't care about the sports. I don't. Unless my son is out there or my daughter.
And it could cause problems in the long run too, because
What's that?
I was in a situation where like I was practicing polyamory at the time, and so like this person liked me enough to want to try that
It's
too.
like, let me try. Let me see how
But
this
that's
is.
not really what they wanted.
See, because they
So-
like you, but not the lifestyle, and that's different. Those are two
Right.
different
So it can
things.
cause. I mean, like
It
obviously that's one of the
can.
most extreme examples, but even
But
in
it's a
other
good
stuff,
illustration because, again, like, right. So I like you, but I think it's good to be open. But like, also, he also says that too. Like, you have to be. It's not just like, okay, well, I don't give a fuck about anything. The things you have to. You can't
Yeah.
lose yourself.
Yeah.
Because we're saying stay open and don't be so bogged down by your identity or whatever. But also, there has to be some parameters and boundaries around who you are as a person.
I like you
and
said
what
boundaries. That's what I was aching for the word boundaries.
aching. There it is. Let me hit
I
you.
want to ask a question though, because I want to
Yeah.
to you, lovely women.
We are lovely.
How and to the audience who might want to comment or answer this, but just like, how do you determine like what is a quote unquote realistic boundary? So for instance, I heard one of my friends was talking to me the other day, and she was telling me she's at the point in her life where like she doesn't even explain shit. If you're not on board, she's not like basically explaining. And I was like, well, how do you balance that with like being able to differentiate like that a person actually wants to like become better for you versus like they just pulling your leg
unable
to do.
I love this question.
So I ask that when people say like set boundaries, it's like, okay, well, how do you know it's a realistic boundary, or is that
like-
only making sense to you?
Well, you said the word like if you're not waiting for someone to come better for you, you should never do that. People come as they are. So that's what the boundary's for. So if you're not already if you're already doing something that's like a hard no for me, then that's just a hard no for me.
But do you explain it like this is a no, or
you don't
you
really
just
have to explain boundaries to people? Not really. Like, okay, I'm trying to think of an actual scenario, because I feel like boundaries are kind of abstract. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately boundaries they're not for other people. They're for you. Like, you enforce your boundaries. You can let other people know about them, and that's really the extent of it. You don't have to give people instructions about this is how you're appropriate. Like, you can come align with with my boundary. No, my boundary is just this. And you have to let that person know. Like, it's especially hard with family members, because everyone has different upbringings, and some people, like, the idea of putting boundaries on your family is just like, oh, that's terrible, like, you should let family do whatever. But no, you have to be, let's say if the boundary is you can't come to my house without calling first,
Right.
and that is
I think that's a good boundary.
I think that's a good boundary. Not everybody has it though, right?
I've broken that, but I also think I recognize that it's a good one.
It's like I was fucking up.
So the thing is, how do you enforce that boundary? Like, if someone shows up without calling, you don't answer the door, even if you're there. And so to some people that feels like extremely cold, but eventually, like, people will get the message.
And I'm thinking, like,
I just think that's funny, because it's like, I can see you.
and I want you to see me seeing you. Because this is your problem, not mine. I need
No,
you to
it's just, I
understand.
mean, like, it's cold, but it's also funny, because it's just like, I know you're there. Like, I see your car.
Yeah.
I can see your silhouette.
Yes,
and you're
I
just
see
not
your
answering the
outline.
door.
But you know what? I give a fuck about me.
Right.
And
No,
my
I
house
told
and
your
my
ass.
keys.
Don't be
So
coming
Mona,
around
the
her.
questions to you now.
So so say it one more time, because I was.
Oh, well, just, okay, so essentially, just like, how do you, I don't think realistic is work, but for lack of better terms, like, how do you know that this is, like, I'm being,
like, this is a fair boundary.
this is a fair,
I'm not
this
being
is fair.
fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. I guess I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe some of our boundaries might seem ridiculous to somebody else. But I think when it comes down to self-preservation, it doesn't matter how other people take it in, because our ultimate goal is to honor who I can't be myself in the world if I'm not honoring my boundaries. And so I think that some of them can maybe be ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And to me, it just wouldn't matter.
And the reason I asked this is because
And
this is,
can I let the people know too?
Yeah.
Like, I'm was making a pantheon of goddesses, and Moni was my goddess of boundaries.
Oh,
She
nice.
has been my inspiration for how, like, if people care about you, they will respect your boundaries. That's just all there is to it. Like, I'll be like, she'll have a boundary, and if I don't understand it, I'm like, I don't have to understand it. I just have to respect it.
right.
That part. And I mean, and I think the understanding comes after the fact. Like, I think when you notice that people respect your boundaries, that's when the conversations can open up, maybe.
And it gives you, and I like it that it gives, my boundaries give people in my life permission to set their own boundaries.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't have to understand their boundaries. I just have to respect them. And I think that comes down to everything. Like, I feel like that happened with, like, when we were learning about trans people, and people were like, well, I don't understand it. It's like, you don't have to understand it. You just have to respect them as people.
I agree.
Like, so there's a lot you're not going to understand. I don't
right.
understand most things in life. I'm just
Boom,
one little
that
person.
part.
Like,
I'm
I
like,
like
I'm
that where you
confused a
explain that.
lot.
Like, these expectations, I'm supposed to be like this omnipotent, like, omniscient understanding. No, I'm just some.
But okay,
person.
the reason I was asking this though, because I feel like sometimes, and maybe y'all don't do this, but I think a lot of people have been guilty of this, especially on the internet. Like, somebody will say, I don't like this, or this is like, don't do this, but or particularly will say, like, if a nigga do something, I'm just gonna cut him off. I don't even explain it to him. And I feel like that's not necessarily helpful.
like ghosting type shit.
Yeah, like sometimes ghosting type
Okay.
stuff. So I don't, because I feel like, again, there are people out there who will use this information to do wrong. But people like myself and other
That you're
young
trying to
men that I
evolve. It's
see
like, no, I'm trying to
who
get
have
better.
frustrations with dating and things like
This
that,
makes
it's
me
like
think
they've
of
never had.
exit interviews.
Con-
It's like, I just want, like, the feedback on what I
Yeah,
could be
they
doing better,
never-
so when I move to the next
yeah.
situation.
I've been saying
I
this
mean,
for the
that's nice.
longest.
I understand.
Our culture needs a breakup ritual.
You do say that.
We know what the ritual is for
Mine is
courting.
reading this book.
Is reading this book. You give somebody this book.
It's like,
Damn.
you have to read this.
I gave somebody this book, and
I mean, that could be a form of communication. I don't know, but like, there needs to be, we as a culture, we know what the dating ritual is. You ask someone out for food. So, but we don't have a breakup ritual, because sometimes it's not like, oh, you're terrible, I hate you.
Right,
You're just
right.
like, nah, this isn't gonna work. But there's no way to, unless there's a catastrophic relationship, like,
I know it does make it hard,
betrayal.
especially when it's like you're a perfectly nice person,
yeah.
but I just don't see it for
It's
you.
not
So
cooking.
I can respect I can
But there's
appreciate what
something
you're
better
asking.
than ghosting. I think ghosting. So let me just
I
say,
think some
like,
ghosting has to happen though.
Really?
Every
Well, I think
once
it has
in a
to-
Every once
It
in a
dep-
while.
to me, it's the
there's a
situation.
exactly, it's situational. I think
Yeah.
it's nuanced. I would say generally speaking, like ghosting is. I mean, it's kind
You
of
should
rude.
try to be polite when you can.
However, there are certain people who cannot receive
Sure.
the words you're fucking saying.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I can show you better than I can tell you.
But
And I don't
even
and
in
actually,
those
and if I've already
scenarios-
spoken to you, no. When I've already spoken
Yes,
to
you already said you already spoken to them.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
On
I think that's
multiple,
good.
and you're
That's
still
different.
not.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah.
like, I don't have to.
I think
keep-
that's fair.
I
That
feel
part.
like ghosting by definition is you didn't have that conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they'll act like you didn't. Those are the folks who act like you hadn't let them know.
Well, this
a couple
is why I
times.
like people to like tell me, because I can be very literal. So like, tell
Okay.
me what it is. Like, don't like if you don't want to
Don't
talk to
assume
me
I
no
know.
more.
Yeah.
Like, say you don't want to talk to
I
me
don't
no
wanna
more.
talk to you no more.
Like, don't just be like, oh well, whatever, because that's not
Yeah.
helpful to
Well,
me.
some people can't though. Like, I mean,
I know.
everybody's communication
Yeah.
style is like that. Feels like you might as well shoot me in my face if I have to look
We
at you
should
and be
all
like,
be
I don't want to
constantly
talk to you
taking
anymore.
communication courses.
Yeah,
think
it
so.
can just be hard because everybody does it differently, and everybody is sort of, like, I mean, you can only really do what you're comfortable doing, and that's not to suggest that's the right way all the time.
I'm sorry. I'm
But-
thinking about all the different types of like breakup things I've heard, like just in TV shows, because there's
Okay.
really no nice way to break up with people.
like
Like
it's
there was like the Sex and the City episode where Carrie, like, her dude broke up with her on a Post-it note, and then like there was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer was helping Bart write one, and it was like, "Dear baby, welcome to Dumpsville, population you."
Wow,
It's like,
that's shady.
there's no-
Yeah, it's
There's no nice way to reject
But there's
people.
better ways. You know
But
what
there
I'm
are
saying?
better
Like,
ways,
Yeah,
for
because I mean,
sure.
I think we just internalize it. Like, I think, you instantly take that as like, oh my God, like there's something wrong with me. This person's rejecting me. And I think that, like, even in this book, he talks a lot about like failures just being opportunities to learn. So I like that you tapped
Yeah.
into that, because it's like sometimes people can accept that, like, okay, this didn't work out, but I don't even know what happened though. And I do think that sometimes it could be valuable to share that information, but it is kind of hard to know when it's a situation where you feel comfortable being like, hey. But I think sometimes too that comes down to, it's going to come down to a very individual relationship
Yeah.
situation. Like, if I think you're the kind of person that can hear me say it, because I have to, I can be, I don't know. I think people can think I'm mean
Yeah.
the way I say stuff. I don't know if you
I've
agree
never
or
done
not.
that.
I
You're
was
one
waiting
of
to
the
see your
nicest
face.
people I know.
Really? Okay.
No.
But so I'm always
To
like,
me.
is this somebody who can hear me saying this to them though? Because I'm
I
not
think
trying to
people
crush
think
your
I'm mean.
soul. Because when you're
And I think
direct,
you're one of the nicest people I know.
but that's the
But
thing.
I
though.
I value directness.
Yeah, but when you're direct, sometimes it's not always perceived as that. But I always feel like it's a kindness.
yes, clarity is.
I
compassion.
promise you, I feel like it is, because I'm like saving you all the bullshit. Like, to me, the bullshit's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Bullshit
I'm just
gets
saying
you
it up
fucked
front.
up every
And I'm
time.
saying it like, it's not even because I hate your guts. I'm just saying, like, I'm not interested in being friends with you though.
But I say
or
I value
whatever it
people like
is,
that,
or
like who like will keep it real with you.
yeah, like you're cool and everything, but like I'm only gonna see you at work. Like, I'm never gonna reach out to you outside of here. I don't want to follow you on social media, not because I hate you, but I see you enough, and
Okay,
I
bet.
wish you well. You know what I'm
I'll
saying?
follow
I ain't
you
gonna
on
say
social
that
media.
part, but no, I'm not.
If
though.
I'm leaving the job, like I just left a job.
if I'm
I'll
leaving,
I'll
maybe.
follow people.
If
that I
see,
was
but you said the
interested
key
in.
word though. We don't work together no more, so technically now we can start following each other.
Right.
That's important. When we work
that'll-
together, no,
yeah.
you may not.
Because then
But
it
I
would
also
get weird
don't-
if I block you and we still work together.
Right? 'Cause
But I also don't. One, I probably don't block people. Two, I don't.
You never
post.
blocked anyone?
I've never blocked
I mean,
you, but
I
I only
have, but like I
3
don't
people.
like more so like spam stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people. The internet just weird anyway. People go on
It's
there and
super
say a
weird.
lot of different stuff, and I'm just like, I know you in real life, so I don't really take that. I take it all
Right.
with a
You know,
grain
it's
of
a bit
salt.
performative anyway. like,
Yeah.
for some
So,
folks, yeah.
but So I've never had to block anybody. Like if somebody say something on the left or on the right, I don't really get into all that.
Like, I feel like the point of the book isn't to not give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's to not give a fuck
about
shit,
every
things that
goddamn
don't
thing.
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And so I give a fuck about the things that I give a fuck about. I really I give a lot of fucks about. And conversely, the things that I don't give a fuck about, like I honestly cannot like even fathom what it would be like to even give a fuck about, like other people's
Right.
opinions, like people I don't know or stuff like that. Like I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Karen.
I really learned that younger too. Like when I learned that, like, oh, you're not gonna be popular, you are a dork. It's like, oh, I shouldn't even be concerned with that. Like I should just care about the things that I like and give me enjoyment.
See, I cared about that,
That's funny.
but then I had like twisted things happen. For instance, like I dated somebody who was like terrible to me, but she was still giving me sex, and that's what I wanted from her. I
Right.
never
It's
seen
like,
no
that's all I
long term
really
thing.
wanted
So then I
anyway.
was just like, I'm still getting what I want.
It's
so
worth
like,
the
I don't really
trade-off.
give a fuck. I stopped giving a fuck what she thought because she
See, there
still
you
was
go.
giving me what I
You're
wanted.
like, well, see, and there you go.
And you know what? This reminds me a little bit too of that one white man whose book I want to read, Tucker Max.
Oh, yes.
He
that
actually
one white man.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like,
what
which
we-
one? She has said to
He's
me.
like
I'm which
he's
one?
probably like the grandfather to all these.
yes,
Self-help
these-
Oh,
writers.
is he?
Um,
Dude, bro, that's so good.
Like
Well,
the
no,
Mark
but-
Manson, the Ryan Holiday
yeah,
type writers.
the fratire,
Yeah.
the fratire genre
he's probably
of
like-
writing. But he's, I would say, to me, in my opinion, a better writer than Mark Manson. He wrote Tiffany Haddish's
Oh, yeah, the black
autobiography.
woman.
They're different styles.
I think this is my opinion.
Okay.
Like I feel like I just feel like Tucker Max is a better writer.
Sorry, I'm giving too
Okay.
much a fuck about
You
your
are.
opinion.
Like it doesn't
He-
matter
'cause he gives a
like,
fuck about
I
Mark
just
Manson,
my
apparently.
opinion. But to me, he was always a very good communicator of the fact that you just get so far in life if you just identify what you want and what's important to you and concentrate on that instead of performing for other people who
It's
don't matter.
exhausting. It's
Yes.
It's
exhausting.
super.
Like that's how I picked my husband. It's funny because like we've been together for a million years, and I remember.
Oh, see, this is.
Are we? Yeah. I remember when we would have times where we weren't dating, right? And it was
Y'all
always
were like on a break or something?
yeah, oh yeah, on a break.
That's
You
what
know,
I'm
we
on
were,
currently
like,
now, so I want to
oh,
hear
yeah,
this. Maybe
yeah.
this will
So we'll be on breaks,
steer me one way or the other.
and it would be like, you have in your mind who you think you should be with, right? Like there's this list, and it's like, okay, boom, boom, boom. Here's all these things, and it's like, okay, I want to try to see if I'm dating somebody that's more hitting these things on this list, you know. And then I would meet that person, and they'd be cool. Like I like this person, they'd be cool, but it would be like, it wasn't. It
Yeah.
was something was still missing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it would be like, damn, okay, like, okay. So I'm still thinking about somebody else, even though this person's perfectly nice or whatever. And so it really just came down. I figured out what I actually valued in a relationship wasn't like a resume. Like, well, you got to be a 6-figure nigga, you got to be a high value man, whatever the fuck they all be talking about now. Because again, like we all value different things, correct?
Yeah.
And I figured out what I actually valued was like somebody who saw me, for who I was, and I didn't feel like I was I felt like I was the $1 million prize in that situation. Like I didn't feel like, oh well, if I just lose 10 pounds, or if I didn't say these kinds of things, or if I just went to church, or if I just wore the right outfit or said the right thing, like then I'd be
Then
that
you'd be
perfect
worthy.
person. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
never felt like I had to win. It was like inexplicable. Like why do you even care about me
Yeah.
this much? It was super weird. But it was like he just accepted me, mean, and everything, just all of it.
You're not a mean
I
person.
feel like I am. I feel like for a girl, like I feel like I can be. I'm not like I'm not a cuddly person. I don't want to hold your hand. I don't want to do all the stuff that normal girls. I don't want you in my face constantly. I need my space. You know what I'm saying?
Is your husband like that though?
A
He's
little
like,
bit.
oh,
He's
that's
more so
funny.
than me.
That's funny.
Yeah, he'll be like, "Come sit with me." I'm like, "Why?" Stuff to do?
Oh,
You
that's
know,
cute
he'd be
though.
like,
I like that.
ah,
I like
like,
when men
oh my
can do
gosh.
that.
He's very sweet. I mean, but it's what I need though, because
Yeah.
again, like.
It
you
seems
got-
like a
it's
compliment.
It's a nice balance, and I'm not
Yeah.
saying it like I'm not mean to. I'm just saying like I feel like women are always perceived as the
We're
ones who
instructed
want to be
to be
and,
indirect.
and that is totally not who
We're
I
supposed to be
am.
like, oh, sweetie, would you rather come over here and instead of just being like, hey, I need you to get the thing.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
And it's
you
very,
know,
yeah, but I just,
and that's considered, and honestly,
It's
like
masculine or whatever.
in professional environments, like
That part.
because of course me as myself, I don't see you as mean. I can see but I understand how other people could.
Yes, I do
But
too.
like in the realistic sense, like I said, clarity is compassion. Like I
think
like the
so.
fact where I can bring something to Moni and she's gonna let me know. Like that's valuable.
Yeah.
To me, that's way more valuable than someone who's just gonna blow like
Sure,
rainbows up my
sure.
ass because
Yeah.
that's what I'd rather hear right now. That's not valuable. That's not making
This
me
is
more
fair,
valuable.
but sometimes I feel like when I bring stuff to you when we have our conversations, and I'll be like, I don't want this, and you be like, well, you do want it because you're doing it, and I'm like, no, that doesn't mean I want it. It just means I'm choosing it, but I
You
don't
just
want
said
it.
You're choosing it.
Well,
But that doesn't
so-
mean I want it.
You just said it. You're choosing it.
right. Well,
Because that's the thing. We choose our problems. I like that part of the book too, where he
Yeah,
was
that
like,
part.
and the fact that happiness is solving problems.
I mean, you're basically just saying what I chose. I don't like the results of it. You know, I
Yeah.
think that would be maybe a more accurate way of
but
saying
then
it.
you can
so,
make some different choices.
yeah.
This
that
is
part.
also true.
That part, and it sometimes it
And
takes
that is
some work,
hard.
but-
Like I said, it
but
takes,
taking ownership of that
Yeah.
is a lot of what he talked about too. Of you know, there's always this feeling like you know, you don't like something, but then also it's like, well,
what do you
you know,
like?
it gets to
Yeah.
a point where when you really don't like something though, that's when you really start making choices that are different so that you can get a different result.
Yeah.
But you know, going back to how you pick somebody, I just felt like it came down to just, you know, what values do you care about? What do you want to for me, I don't want to transform.
No.
I don't want to have to be different. I want to be myself. That doesn't mean I don't want to evolve as a person.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, to
You
me,
know what I
there's a
mean?
difference between change and improvement.
Yes, I
Like,
wanna
I would like to
improve.
become a better version of myself as I am now. But I
Yeah.
don't want to turn into a different person.
Yeah. But he instantly makes me softer because I see that he's like, okay.
Because I was about
And then
to
I'd
say,
be
I've
like,
seen times where you're
"Aw."
like, hey, you want to come and put your head on my lap? and
Yeah,
stuff?
because I be
She'll
feeling like I
she'll
gotta
doing
be
some tender
right.
stuff.
I do because he makes me want to do that, even though it's not
Yeah.
necessarily something that I would lead with. You know what I'm saying? Like like I think they bring out that part of you. Like, so I think, you know, you're picking the right person when you find yourself wanting to evolve in
Yeah.
areas where you're like, okay,
I want to be
Okay.
a good partner to this person.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be a good partner to you because you're not making me do it. I'm doing it because I
Yeah.
want to. You have to want to fucking do it
Yeah.
because it's work. You know what I'm saying? So you have to
But
look
some
at that
people
person.
again will put strange things on there that I don't really necessarily feel like matter. Like, okay, if you don't want to be like in an open relationship and somebody struggling with that, fine. Maybe y'all need to like work that out. But then they'll add other layers like, well, you need to be like in church and stuff like that. It's like my relationship with God and the universe has nothing to do with you. You know, like, but a lot of people.
I don't know.
Shared
That's
value.
not a
But
shared value.
a lot of
It's
people
hard.
feel
It
like
gets tough.
that's a reflection. I don't
Yeah.
agree with
I've
that.
left my husband for Jesus though. Low key, we joke about it now.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You almost left him for
Listen,
Jesus?
y'all, listen.
This is Kat. I'm interrupting to let you know that this part of the podcast is going to be put on our Patreon. This is a fantastic story of Moni being really vulnerable, and we think it should just belong to our Patreon members. So if you'd like to hear it, please go to Patreon now, sign up, and you can hear the rest of the story. But for now, please join the rest of our podcast already in progress.
What you want, and
Instead
I think
of
that's
what you actually have.
And that's how I've
And
tried
that's
to
how I
live. It's like, hey, I don't, you can do what you need to do. I don't like, I got you. But like I've had people look at me like, oh, you don't go to church. You don't.
I
you-
mean, but
you
if
don't,
that's their
like,
defining thing that they need, then it's like I think personally that does not work. I think if you have somebody who, because we all have our deal breakers, and to me, I think
Wait, you don't
that's
think it
some-
works in what way?
Well, because
if
you
you-
gave him hope. Because
You just gave me hope. Now it ain't working.
So what I'm saying is that if the person who is saying to you, "I need you to be in church," can't
They can't
get to a
rationalize
point
it. Yeah.
where, you know, for me it was me realigning my values, not with what I thought a resume should look like, but who you are. Like at some point, like, am I putting more value on you hitting these marks, or am I just looking at you for who you are though?
Yeah.
Fuck with the what everybody
But see, that's
says
how I
about
desire
it,
to be
you know?
seen, because that's how I try to see people. It's like
But
who
it's
they are.
hard because so many people are some people are way more concerned with how they look, though. They give
And
so much of a fuck
this-
about how they show up
Yeah.
in the world and less about how do you make me feel, though. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You know what that's called? Because he addresses that in there, and I never thought about this. Entitlement. It's entitlement. You think you
It's
are
Sunday
special.
and we are all preaching.
Are you the?
Oh my God.
You think you're special? Or you're the exception to the
You're the
rule? Or you
exception.
think you deserve this because of X, Y, Z? And maybe some things you do, but I think you. I mean, you just painted it perfectly. It's like, how much value am I placing on this other thing, like my list? How much
What's
am I
more
actually
important?
placing on, like, oh, this person is actually a pretty good person for me.
I mean, I would have passed my husband up. I couldn't have. I promise you, I couldn't have had kids with nobody else. I didn't even necessarily.
But see, I like
need
the
to
fact that
have
this is
kids.
great. This is like you walk.
But
you,
he changed my mind because he helped me understand that, like, it doesn't have to be in the package maybe that you think it should be in, or have the name and the list and blah blah blah, and you limit yourself when you do that. I would have missed out on one of the. I mean, Kat knows he. I'm not just like blowing. He is a in fact, like,
Because it's so funny. Like,
He's
you
so
probably on paper would have liked my ex at that time in your life.
maybe
Because he would have been
Probably.
hitting
Oh,
like,
yeah, you hitting the church goals. I'm like, well, I need a
advanced
man.
degree,
Yeah.
you know, da 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 da, blah blah blah. But it
And I
would have been
hated
a
his guts.
disaster because in real life, it's like, I don't
He's
like this dude.
And I think I think sometimes, like, it's more helpful to take away like the labels and stuff and just really engaging people at their level.
Can I address something at my
Please.
notes
In your
here
notes, please
about
do.
how we are pretty much, a lot of this stems from the fact that we are status seeking apes.
Yes, we are.
And so I was listening to
Mm-hmm.
a podcast by Tucker Max yesterday
Mating
called The
Grounds.
Mating Grounds.
Yep.
And he was interviewing a doctor who studies bonobo apes.
Oh, she was a
Not
woman, right?
bonobo.
I listened to this
Isabel-
episode. I listened to that
Isabel
episode. Yeah.
Beck.
I don't know. She sounds hot.
Doctor,
I
she
don't know.
was, she was like
I don't know.
Latin and stuff. And he was
Oh, she
describing-
is.
Yes.
I don't know.
you said she sounded hot. Is that what
She
you
did
said?
well because she was talking about like
She said in the article.
I didn't
like,
know
on
that.
the
I
podcast.
missed that part, but I just
Okay.
know like she was talking about like, you know, she talks about this stuff and she's like, her sons go to school and she's like the crazy mom who talks about sex.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
it's
like this.
because it's a. I'll
Send me
put
the
link.
episode.
I'll
I'll
send the
suck it
episode.
up.
It's
It's
very,
great.
very interesting. But she studies bonobos because they're one of our closer, evolutionary cousins.
Yeah.
Like we have a similar evolutionary ancestor. And so their relationships around sex and hierarchy are similar to ours on what we see as important. But it's very interesting because whenever I watch nature documentaries and you watch the stuff and there's like the different monkeys, I'm like, why is that monkey hotter than that monkey? Like,
Same shit. It's the same shit. And that's
right,
what I'm
but they
saying,
see
like,
stuff, and then all of a sudden you're on a different stratus because your monkey genes.
right. It's like that one's the one we don't.
Yes,
like.
and so then we ascribe all this importance to it, and to me that's one of those things that I've tried to avoid that part of my nature because we all have it where it's like,
We do.
Ooh, I should go after this high value male because they da da da.
I
da."
just-
But like, how do
no.
I really feel when I'm around that person?
Yeah,
how
like
do
that's
I-
the thing I noticed. So I would date men. So I just remember going on a date with this guy. He played football and he was like supposed to be all, you know what I mean? He was fine. He was a nice looking man. He was whatever. He was fine.
Like if we were writing a
Yeah,
screenplay,
it would be great. Like he's fun
Yes.
to look at all of the
He's
things.
Lance
But he was terrible
from,
though.
from The Thing.
He was terrible. You're
Lance from Best Man.
Oh, I haven't watched that.
Man, he was insufferable, and I was like, I hate this a lot. And it felt like, you're leaning on, and women do this too, like you're leaning on what society says is important about you, and like that's it. I don't like that.
You don't have anything else
It's
to
like,
back it
you're,
up.
but I don't. You're not
And
interesting.
ladies,
I don't wanna talk to
I'm
you.
quoting, I'm paraphrasing Tina Fey, but talent is not sexually transmitted. So if you're going, please go to YouTube and watch
Whoa.
that spit
She
take.
got me. She got me.
Got her. No,
Got
seriously, and I'll say it again so
And
you
neither
can
is
compose
money,
yourself.
really, when it's
And also, it can't. Actually, money is sexually
it-
transmitted.
not initially though.
It can be though.
Not initially. I mean, so my thing is like, you're leading with your money. You're telling me all this stuff. You have all this stuff, and I'm like, that's great. You know what I'm
Neato.
saying? Good for you.
It's like, but I don't.
I
live
don't
here.
have nothing. Great. You know what I'm saying? Like that's.
Neato.
I got fucked up like that because few years ago, I slid in this girl DM, and I had been following her for a minute, and I was just, oh man, she's
Right.
looks great. She's tall for a
She can
woman. She's
read.
probably like 5'8". She can read. She's like beautiful though. She looks
Sure.
like if she wanted to model, she probably could have done that. And it's just like
Well, models have to be
I'm-
5'10".
She could be an
Almost there,
Instagram
little
model.
buddy.
Okay,
She'd
yeah.
be an
She could've
Instagram model.
Instagram,
But
yeah.
she was just beautiful. And I was like, oh man, she looks like the type of girl I want to be with. And like slid in her DM, she ended up hitting me back. We ended up connecting. And like I did end up
me
like
about it,
having
too.
some times with her, but it was just like when I finally got to know her, I was just like, man, she's
This is
actually not
disappointing.
really what I want. Like
Exactly.
personality or aura
Thank
wise.
you.
She is a
She's
dope
fantastic,
person, but like
sure.
it's just like I probably couldn't be with her long term.
Exactly. And it's fun for a second, maybe, but that's my point though. Like again, it is just really great to know like what it is you value. Like I like to laugh. I like people who aren't super self-important. I like to be able to life is already hard and it sucks a lot. I don't want to be with somebody who's super uptight and
Yeah.
can't
That was
you know,
a gem right there.
for
you
real.
You say the most insightful stuff super fast.
Sorry. Run it back.
Life
But
sucks hard
It sucks a lot. And so
for a lot of the time.
this is why I feel utmost
Well,
importance.
he talks
having
about that
good-
too.
Yeah,
We
like
can-
having
I'll
good
let you
information.
finish. But just
But
picking
that's
your
it.
struggles,
Picking
in
your
life,
struggles, man.
and like there's value in suffering. I
Yes,
think
it
that was one
is.
of the chapters.
Yeah. So
but
here's
not
some
unnecessary suffering.
not unnecessary
Yes.
and not
Let's
crazy.
put that in there.
Right. So here's some themes that I thought. So just real quick. So pain is inevitable. That was one. Because there's always struggle. Then positive thinking is overrated.
Yes.
So I think to me there needs to be a healthy balance because if you're prone to be a negative thinker, you need more positive thinking because I mean
One of my
you gotta
Yeah,
have
but
balance.
you don't want to be toxic.
But you don't
One
want
of my best
when
friends
it's
is a
bad, it's
Everything's
bad.
balanced.
And
What
it's
is it?
when
Say
I said
that
one of my best friends is a pessimist, and it is it's challenging sometimes.
Yeah, because I can be that way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking I'm the person who's like, you can think a little bit more positively about things sometimes.
But you're also great at preparing for disasters.
it's what I'm expecting most of the
Yes.
time. But then you can't let that impede the joy in the
Yes.
moment. Like that's the
Yeah.
part that my husband helps me at. You know what I'm saying? Because he's always like, yeah, I mean, we're alive right now. This is great. But also,
She says it so fast.
yeah, it's like, so
It
then
is.
there's,
We're alive and it's great.
it's great. It is great. And
But it's
I'm like,
also
oh,
learning to
yeah.
not be so connected to one or the other. Like don't the negative as well as the positive.
All of
I
it
always
can
strive
exist
for
at
the
the same
balance
spot.
of like when somebody gets excited, be like, oh, like my buddy's like
Mm-hmm.
really like this. One of my friends, he's like, he does music and stuff like that. He used to get really excited, like, man, they know like Dr. Dre and da da da. I'm like, cool, like, bro, you should do that. But like, until I see the result, like, I don't want to like
Yeah,
start
I can't
counting
waste all my
Yeah.
energy on this. Like, I
Yeah,
want to
and then when it don't fall out, like people will get upset about it. So
yeah,
it's just
that's
like
not
I
cute.
try not to,
I'm with you on that. It's like let me pace myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But also like don't be like you can't do no shit like that. Like
exactly.
I don't.
I mean, and it can be.
I
hard,
know
depending
friends
on
who
your
would be like, man, you
personality.
ain't gonna do that shit.
Right, and it's like that's not helpful. You know what I'm saying?
not.
But sometimes you might need
Everything's
to hear that
impossible
shit.
until it's not.
That part.
Exactly.
That part. Also, we touched on this. Better to not know who we are, and I feel like that's also a balance too of knowing who you are versus not being so attached that there's no room for evolving.
Growth, yeah.
There's no greater purpose or higher truth. How y'all feel about that?
I loved that. That was actually,
Did you?
I put that in
That
my
was your
notes.
fave?
It's the opposite of everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And I like that
Sometimes
way better.
it's just-
because sometimes shit, it just
There's
happens
no
to
reason.
you. You're not the center of the universe and there's no
That
big
part.
part.
My
There's no big plan around it.
interpretation of all that
Yeah,
is
that's-
somewhere in the middle. Again, is I always say like everything happens for the reason that you choose to interpret it to be.
Yeah,
so
learn
like
your own lesson.
Like if you feel like, oh, my parents died and that's why, I can't adjust to society how I need to, then there's that. But if you look at
And
it
he
like
figured it out.
Wow, it's a hard knock life.
you look
for
at it
us.
like my parents died and like, yeah, that happened, but I shouldn't let that control me and I'm actually gonna go do what I want to do. Then it's just like, how do you reframe it?
The reframing
Maya,
part.
Yeah.
Maya Angelou said, if you can't change something, change the way you think about it.
Amen. We love her around here. She's fantastic. And then, I mean, that just goes to show that meaningful change by definition is uncomfortable. That's the main thing. Most everything that's great, you're going to have to percolate for just a little bit. You're going to have to pop that coochie in the handstand for at some point. That's what I be having to do. I don't know about y'all.
How many times in college I'll call Moni
I
and
be
be like,
going
hey, what
hard.
you doing?
Bitch, everything.
Popping that
all at
coochie.
once.
In a
Today was a whole coochie
Without
popper contest.
breaks,
And I don't even know if I won. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And I'm
why I always
sweating.
want you to give yourself credit for stuff. I feel like you're always
Man.
kind of dragging yourself. And
I
I feel
know,
like,
'cause it's always
honestly,
like,
You
I
gotta
know a
give
lot
yourself
of,
grace.
I'd say
That
I know
part.
a lot of people and you do more than most.
Well, I appreciate it. See, this is why I keep her around. It's
You
like
should
a little
know.
cheerleader in the background, like, you can
People
do it.
act like they do a
Equally.
lot, but you do a lot.
My goodness, yeah. So it's I mean, because everything's a lot, but also just pick the stuff. But that's the thing. Everything I'm involved in means a lot to me too. So that's why I be like, I gotta be a good mom. You know, I want them eating good food because that's what you know what I mean. You just,
We
but
do
also
a lot of jobs, which is why I
Yeah.
feel like you shouldn't drag yourself for doing a lot of full-time jobs.
it is true. I
Because
just
there's a
need
lot of
help.
people who just do one of your jobs full-time.
That's true, and
Yeah.
that's it. And they're just like,
That's all
that's
they
my
do.
boundary.
They're
You know
just
what
a
I'm
personal
saying?
shopper. How many
Yeah,
people are you a
that's
personal
true.
shopper for?
3?
Yeah? Maybe 4?
No.
No?
Well, maybe 4.5. I ain't gonna
Okay.
say I'm 100%. He does his own shopping, some of it. But yeah, so anyway, it's just, you know, I wanted to so pros and cons of this book from your perspective, Kat, first. What did you like and dislike about this book, just kind of overall?
Okay, so I feel like I already talked about the stuff I liked.
Okay,
The
so what
stuff
didn't you
I
like?
disliked, he was very anti-weed. Like, he was very anti-marijuana.
I don't remember that.
I do.
He's a
He-
little anti-video games too.
yeah, he was anti-video games and anti-weed. And I
Maybe
thought,
because those were the things that made him be a loser.
yeah, but I feel like for a lot of people
Some
that
people
helps.
cannot be a loser.
But
and do
like
those
I
things.
said, everything can be a crutch. And really, I feel like weed is plant medicine, but every medicine taken in excess becomes poison.
Amen.
So you should just everything we talked about requires balance.
Well, know yourself. It kind of comes back to
Right.
that
So
too.
I don't think it's appropriate for everybody, but I felt like he kind of dragged people who enjoy cannabis and video games.
Why don't I remember any of that?
I don't know, but thank you for backing me up.
Yeah, no, he did.
Yeah,
He
I
talked
thought I
about because
remembered
he talked about he had at a pivotal time in his life when his friend died. Like that was kind
Oh, I
of
remember
shifting
that.
his mentality on just
Yeah,
like fucking
but
up.
he was like 19 or something, right? Like it's
Yeah.
like maybe he wasn't giving himself a break. It's like when
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
19 and you're smoking. I smoked weed all the time when I was 18.
Yeah.
I was a weed coordinator. For
Yes.
those of you who
But
didn't-
again, some
I don't
people
do it now, but-
probably can't function like I know.
Exactly.
I've heard
That's-
like
And
Good.
actually, I would, if in a perfect world, I would recommend you not try any kind of substances until you're 25 after your prefrontal cortex develops. But that's
Right, not
unrealistic.
super unrealistic. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
perfect world.
Sure.
Well, because my friend had said something to me the other day and was like, you might not be an addict. You might just be when you get the thing that you really like. Then you become like this addictive behavior, but you can actually control it. But it's just like if you get a piece of it, like whether it be sex or
there.
alcohol or
Sure.
whatever, then it's like you snap back into like, I want it all the time now. And so it's
Yeah.
like,
Regulating your dopamine.
yeah, you just gotta be better about it.
Well, I mean, part of that is just being aware of how it affects you, and
Yeah.
like, does it serve your values? Like, what are my values? If I'm saying these things are important, and now they're not getting done because I'm doing this, be having that honest conversation with yourself, or at least maybe having friends who would be like, "Hey,
Ayo.
yo," or having people around you who can kind of point that out.
Yeah.
I think for me, the cons were, I don't know, like it was very bro, like white bro.
That part too. Yeah,
You know what
that
I
was in
mean?
my notes too. Yeah.
I was like, it's very like, and it came, and to me, it's very privileged. Like he's writing from a very, and I think he acknowledges that on some point. So I'm
Yeah,
not
he always had
holding it-
money.
Oh wait.
Yeah, like I'm definitely not holding it against him because we're born into what we're born into, and so that's his perspective. Because he was even careful to say like, "Yo, I mean, my parents were wealthy, and it helped him to understand how like money isn't everything because
And he
right
went
when
to,
my
like, super
family
good
got
schools.
money,
Yeah.
my life fell apart. My parents' marriage fell apart, and so I didn't associate money with happiness. You know what I'm saying? I figured that it was something else, and I do think that's a gift when you're a white man who is wealthy. Like
Yeah.
I think that probably is a
Learning that.
gift for him
Yeah.
to see that, like, I
Yeah,
mean,
he became a writer.
yeah, you're chasing, right? You know what I'm saying? You're
Probably be a
chasing
little
this
bit harder
thing.
for me.
And he know right.
Right.
But he was able to recognize that, and I think that is probably a gift for him. But I do feel like if I was recommending this book, I would say like, yeah, I mean, it's written from a privileged white man's point of view, but it doesn't mean that there aren't gems in there. You know what I'm saying? There's some gems in there, and I think that yeah, I mean, it was just very bro, but I think that it was relatable, so it made it easy for people who, if this isn't information that you're used to taking in, like he made it relatable in that way. So,
well, he seems very like introspective, and he's traveled the world, so that's probably give him a lot more understanding of things too. I think that helps, like when you, especially for like privileged white people, like when they go do other shit, it's like, okay, maybe me being white is not like the end all be all.
Or so-called white, because we don't believe in the concept of whiteness here on the Fab Podcast.
I just use that for semantics.
Thank you.
well, so y'all know.
And
what we're talking
so,
about.
and it's interesting too, because I didn't necessarily grow up like super rich or privileged, but I did go to school with a lot of people who were, and they were miserable. Even like before,
That
when you
part.
were talking about like, talking to someone who played ball or whatever, I remember for a while, like I was, a lot of my clients were in that world, and I just kind of sensed a sort of general misery. I feel like my intuition has always been to go towards things that bring me joy, and I've always kind of like had alert for like joyless.
Right, it's like, y'all look
And I'll be
miserable.
like, I'm gonna avoid that. That doesn't look like you're really enjoying yourself or having a good time. And for me, that's something really important.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of it, if we're being honest, is not even for you sometimes. Like you're just trying to perform this thing because you want to be accepted in a certain way that you're told like you're supposed to be accepted as. And I
Yeah.
think it's hard to divorce yourself from that
It is.
because it's reinforced, in parental relationships and platonic, romantic relationships. And I mean, the ultimate like stunt in life is like when you meet people where you're like, so you feel me though?
Yeah.
Like we don't have to do all this performative bullshit
Love
though.
that.
We can just like enjoy each other in real time and in real life without feeling like we have to perform all this dumbass shit to make ourselves respectable or to be
That's
accepted.
why Kat and I have been friends
It's
for
the
so long.
best. I know. This is one of the things I
I
enjoy
was
about
like,
her.
oh,
It's
like
nice.
we've had very hard conversations. I was like, oh, you're still my friend?
And you're
Oh my
still
God.
my friend.
Thank you.
It's so nice because it's hard being a person. It's like when you can meet those people who, you can do that with. That's where those long-term relationships come in at.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like that's been one of my superpowers. I feel like I'm really great at detecting people overall who are like,
your bullshit
I'm
detector's
like, you know what, you're
fantastic.
cool.
I have suffered from not listening to it more.
I mean,
So-
and the thing is that, I mean,
And
that's-
actually now I am more likely to listen to people because now that I have the lesson of not listening, I'm now better at being attuned to listening to people who are trying to give me messages.
right. Because it's like, well, why are they trying to give you this message?
Yes. And I can be like,
Because I
break
can
this
mind my
down.
business 100%. Like, I mean,
this
I could.
person is taking time out to say this. What are they saying? Ooh, we're getting a low battery alert.
I know, yes, we are. And
Maybe
so,
we should take a break.
Let's take a break, guys.
All right.
This is so much to unpack. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. So we're back now from the break. Oh my gosh.
So much talking.
I mean, this is how you know we're having fun. though.
Yeah.
We just really got into all kinds of stuff. I feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we got into the book, but we had some side conversations, but I feel like all of them were really great.
Yeah.
And, if I had to, well, I'm going to ask you, if you had to rate the book, like, what would you give
I
it?
would probably give it 3.75 Fs out of 5 Fs.
Okay.
And once again, it is only because of like the cons I gave it, but I do agree that it's a good starter. Like it's a good read.
Okay. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I think I'm giving it 3.5, probably middle fingers. And
Out of
for the
5.
same out of 5 because I feel like it is it's definitely, it has the bro vibes to it. And I hate to subtract for that, but I mean I can't help it because that's not my you know what I'm saying.
These are your
It's not
ratings.
it's not my gig, but it doesn't take away from the book being a really great. To me, I was like, he took parts of Buddhism and kind of like
Chopped it
broed it up. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Chopped
And
and
I can
screwed
get with,
Buddhism.
he chopped and screwed it, you know what I'm saying? And, yeah, I think so. That's what I would give it. What about you, T, if you had to rate it?
My score is higher. I would just give it. I mean, if it's a scale of 5, like a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
4 out of 5.
That's
Maybe
what's
even a
up.
4 out of more than 4 and a
It's
half.
a 5 of 5. This is your favorite book?
No,
basically.
it is. But I mean, just because it's my favorite, don't mean it's without flaw.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, because I took that from this time too. Like, oh, he's definitely had a more privileged life than mine. So his, it's easier
relevant.
when you have money to be like, oh, money doesn't matter and da da da.
Boy,
Which
that's
it
like telling
does.
The ugly
it's-
girl,
yeah,
it don't matter.
Yeah.
Being cute isn't the favorite thing. It's
Yeah.
like, bitch, how come you getting all these opportunities and I'm not though? So
Yeah.
that's the part
Like
I
it
feel
matters
you
up
don't
to
address.
a point,
It does.
but
It does.
it's easier to acknowledge that when you already have. The
I
thing.
think
That part.
I think
That
disgraced rapper Kanye said it best, where having money's not everything,
Is he
not having it
disgraced?
is. I'm gonna say it again
Yes,
without
it
the
is.
interruption. Having money's not everything, not having it is.
Is he disgraced?
Yeah, he's a disgraced rapper.
Okay.
By a
Yeah.
lot, yeah.
Is he still missing?
I don't know.
Missing?
I hope he's okay. Peace to that man.
Okay, I don't. Y'all know I don't know what's going on right
He's
now.
missing.
Wow. Okay. So yeah.
But it's a good sentiment. Like if you
Yeah.
having money's not everything, not having money is
Yeah.
everything if you don't
Right.
have it.
But again, too, I understand how it's hard to hear when you're broke, or
Yes.
if you're ugly and somebody's telling you being beautiful doesn't matter. When it's like, oh, I actually see the results of that, or being a black person, you don't have. So I do feel like
Yeah, my privilege doesn't matter. Your privilege
yeah,
totally matters.
Yeah, and I feel like he's acknowledging it to the extent that he can with
Yeah.
his lived experience. So that's why I'm not giving it less than 3.5 middle
Which I
fingers.
appreciate.
Yeah, so, but I mean, I think the goal of what he's trying to say is made simple enough to where it is universal, and I see why it's a bestseller because, I mean, the message is very relatable and easy to take in. So for that,
sure.
you know what I'm saying, shout out to you.
Do y'all ever acknowledge like how bestsellers are actually like done?
No.
Okay.
It's kind
We
of
can maybe do that on.
Because it's not like people think, oh, it's number one bestseller, and this is not taking anything away from Mark. I'm sure it's sold like millions of copies, but like
yeah,
you
he
actually
has.
don't have to. I think you only have to sell like 10,000 copies to be considered a bestseller.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Something like it's a super low number.
Yeah, and it's just because people don't read books. If you get 10,000 people to read your book, that's amazing.
It's like
Yeah.
number one.
It's like I didn't know that until like probably a year ago, and I was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
I like
Because
it. I
you,
like
because
it.
you, when you think about it, you go somewhere and it's like number one bestseller, and then somebody had tweeted one time like, "How the fuck is everybody a number one bestseller?"
Not everyone, but like, and also
Right,
lots
it
of
feels
people
pretty,
buy
yeah.
books and don't read them.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
This
try to
guy.
read them around
Yeah.
here, but okay. Well, no, I've never looked into that, but I mean, I feel like it's probably, I mean, getting anybody to read a book in general is a feat, or buy it. You know what I'm saying? Is a feat. Some people buy books just to have.
I've been buying these and giving them out. That's why I brought this
Have
copy.
you read
That's
it?
nice.
Oh, wow.
Not, I mean, y'all already read it, so I don't know if you need it, but
True that.
I
It's right there.
gave it out. I went to an Ethiopian Christmas thing yesterday, and I
Oh.
gave it to the wife of my former supervisor because she's a writer and a reader. So she never read the book, and then I told my sister about it.
Fun.
Books make great gifts.
They really
That
do.
you know what? That's gonna be my thing from now. I'm giving people books.
That's
yeah,
what's up.
it's like get on my level.
Read the book.
You know what I'm saying? No, don't say that.
I'm trying to cater to who I think they are as a person.
Yeah.
And, you know,
It's nice. I think it's nice to be able to recommend books to people too. But yeah, I enjoyed the book overall. It was a good experience, and I recommend you guys using it. And if you don't, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is probably something all of us can take into certain areas of our lives, and just make sure what you give a fuck about, you're at least thoughtful about, and make sure that it aligns with your values. Because otherwise, man, you're creating shit that don't need even. You're probably making things harder than they need to be,
Probably.
and you don't need no help with that. So.
Life's already hard
It's
enough.
already hard enough, you guys. So, I feel like we should spin the wheel, man. Let's spin it. Spin it! Okay. Yep. All right. Well, so, listen, we've been talking about this one. Octavia Butler. She's got lots of bangers out here. But we're going to be getting into Kindred, you guys, next week. And I'm super pumped up. This is,
I'm a little scared,
I know you are. You weren't scared at first, and now you're scared.
but I'm also brave.
Yes, you are. So keep it. Listen, you're both at the same damn time. And I actually started it already, and I'm really enjoying it. And so it's going to be fun to unpack.
And it's also, if you guys don't want to read it, it's a series on Amazon Prime, so you could just watch it.
Oh, yes. So watch it, read it, listen along with
And
us,
come
you
back.
guys. Yeah, comment. Come back. Please come back. This was a lot of fun, T. Thank you so much.
Thank you
This
for
was so
having
much
me.
fun.
Enjoyable.
We're here sweating. It's all hot. We in here.
That's
I'm
what I do
like,
to the
I'm
ladies.
cozy.
It's, man.
You can edit that out.
Right.
You can edit that.
That's staying in.
Man, listen.
You heard it here,
Oh my
folks.
gosh.
No, but this has been really fun. So I appreciate you spending your Sunday with you. You could be doing anything. So thank
No,
you
I
so
wanted
much.
to come.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you
for coming to the
having
Fake
me.
Ass Book
This
Club.
is my favorite podcast.
So much fun. Oh
So
my,
you
y'all
do.
hear? Say what?
Okay, say that again. Yes, for the people.
Oh no, this is my favorite podcast.
Yay!
I incorporate y'all into my workout routine. So
Oh my
You, as
goodness.
more people should do.
So nice. So good.
it's really nice right after that cardio. When you're going to hit the weights, you just need somebody to calmly talk to
Tell
you about
'em.
some stuff. So you know.
We'll do that. We'll do that for you if you need us to cool you down a little bit.
Yes, and exactly, and
you.
take that pressure off you to spend hours reading, watching shows. You don't have
That's
time
right.
for that.
No,
we will
nobody
talk about
does.
it for about an hour and a half. You got it.
That's right. Or less sometimes. But yeah. So thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Kat, thank you for being here. We had a good time.
time.
The bubbles
You're
were
the
great.
shit.
I know.
And so are you, sir.
Thank you. I try.
Yes. So guys, we're gonna leave it right there. We ain't got time for nothing else. We gotta get the hell out of here. So thank you again for coming. And you guys,
Your body belongs to you.
yes, it is. And listen, do the stuff you like, y'all. We only
Shake
here
it.
for a little bit of time. So make sure you find stuff that, makes you feel good. Cause otherwise, what the hell are we doing?
Oh, that was actually what's his name? That white man, Tucker Max.
That way.
It's like, if you can't do what you want, what is the point of America?
What? Wow. So
America.
America.
Well, actually, he
Fuck
said, if I
yeah.
can't get drunk and fuck hot chicks, then what is the point of America?
I agree with him.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay. Listen.
If I
to
can't
each his
read
own.
books and fuck hot chicks, what is the point of
Boom.
America?
What is the point of America?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can't get drunk and podcast, then what is the point of America?
Okay. So what they said, what is the point of America? Anyway, guys, we're out of here. Let's get out of here.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music, and legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins. If you like what you heard, please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another Fake Ass Book Club. Cheers.
Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again. And until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.